The Terran flagship sensors suddenly blared with an alert as an unidentified armada emerged from hyperspace, their dark silhouettes looming menacingly against the backdrop of stars. "Sir, we've got company," announced Lieutenant Jonathan Barrett, his voice steady despite the tension. The Terran Union had always prided itself on its strategic prowess and technological advancements. Under the command of Admiral James Everett, a seasoned tactician with a sharp mind, they had repelled countless invasions. But this time was different. The Eternal Empire, a ruthless and expansive galactic power, had obtained critical data on the Union's fleet compositions and weapon systems, giving them a dangerous edge. Everett's mind raced as he analyzed the situation. The Empire had launched a surprise attack, hoping to catch the Union off guard. The industrial heartland of the Terran Union, a region teeming with newly constructed ships and vital resources, was their target. "Lieutenant Barrett, get me a status report on the unidentified ships," Everett ordered, his voice calm but commanding. Barrett's fingers flew across the console. "Sir, these ships don't match any known designs. They're forming up behind our 4th battle line, but their armament configurations are unconventional." The Admiral frowned. The Empire's typical strategy relied on sheer industrial power and conventional tactics. These new ships, however, suggested a different approach. Everett knew he had to think quickly to counter this unexpected threat. "We need more intel," Everett muttered. "Deploy all available scouts and have our AIs run continuous scans. I want to know everything about those ships." As the scouts darted out into the vast expanse of space, the tension on the bridge grew greater. Minutes felt like hours as they waited for the data to come in. When it finally did, the results were baffling. "Admiral, some of these ships are heavily armed for close-quarters combat," Barrett reported, his confusion evident. "But that doesn't make any sense in an interstellar battle." Everett's mind raced, piecing together the puzzle. They must be planning something unconventional. Maybe they're counting on surprise and brute force to break through our lines. As the unidentified ships continued to pour in, Everett felt a gnawing unease. The sheer number of these vessels was staggering. "This doesn't add up," he thought. No military force could build so many ships in such a short time. Suddenly, another wave of ships appeared, these even more bewildering. They were massive, moon-sized constructs accompanied by sleek, white, knife-shaped vessels. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. "What civilization would waste resources like this?" wondered one of the officers aloud. Everett's eyes narrowed. "They're not wasting resources. They're playing a different game." He turned to Barrett. "Send out a communication to all fleet commanders. We need to prepare for an unprecedented battle." As the orders were relayed, the tension on the bridge was cut by an unexpected transmission. "Admiral, the Star Wars fans are reporting. Our ships have formed up behind the 4th battle line as instructed, requesting further instructions." Everett allowed himself a small smile. The Terran Union had a secret weapon, the ingenuity and passion of its civilian population. Enthusiastic fan communities had been drafted to pilot experimental ships based on their beloved franchises. "Negative on opening fire," Everett responded. "Hold your positions. We need to wait for the Star Trek fans and their ships. They'll be here soon." The minutes ticked by as the bridge crew watched the enemy fleet's movements. The Empire's ships began to shift into a defensive formation, clearly uneasy about the growing number of unidentified vessels. "Admiral, the Eternal Empire's armada seems to be retreating," Barrett exclaimed. Everett's eyes widened in surprise. "Hold positions. This could be a ruse." "No, sir," Barrett insisted. "They're genuinely retreating. They wouldn't expend so much energy opening that wormhole otherwise." As the enemy began to withdraw, Everett's surprise turned to relief. "We've done it," he thought. "We've bought ourselves some time." But then, another transmission crackled through. "Vice Admiral, we have additional contacts on sensors. Warp signatures. It's the Star Trek fans, and they're arriving at Warp 10. Everett couldn't help but chuckle. "I never thought I'd say this, but thank goodness for fanboys." He turned to his crew, his voice filled with newfound confidence. "Prepare for a counterattack. We're not out of this yet. As the bridge erupted into action, Everett felt a surge of pride. The Terran Union's resilience and adaptability had once again turned the tide. But the battle was far from over. The true test lay ahead, and Everett knew they had to be ready for anything. The calm of space shattered as a massive warp gate flared to life, unleashing a torrent of starships. Admiral Everett, the Star Trek fans have arrived, Lieutenant Barrett announced with a mix of awe and relief. The arrival of the Star Trek fan fleet was a sight to behold. Their ships, sleek and bristling with advanced technology, quickly took formation behind the Terran Union's lines. Admiral Everett couldn't help but feel a sense of hope. The combined might of these unconventional vessels, piloted by passionate civilians, could turn the tide. Status on the Empire's retreat? Everett asked. They're still withdrawing, sir, Barrett confirmed. But their wormhole is only partially open. It seems they're struggling to complete the transit. Everett's tactical mind whirred. We need to press the advantage. Signal all commanders to prepare for a coordinated strike. We'll hit them before they can fully retreat. As the orders went out, Everett's eyes fell on the massive moon-sized vessel hovering ominously. What's the status on that behemoth? It's heavily shielded and armed, Barrett replied. But its movements are sluggish. It's likely a command ship. Everett agreed. Target their command ship. If we can take it out, we'll throw their retreat into chaos. The Terran fleet, now bolstered by the fan communities, moved into position. Star Wars and Star Trek ships seamlessly integrated with the Union's military vessels, creating a formidable battle line. The sight was both inspiring and surreal, a testament to humanity's ingenuity and unity in the face of existential threats. As the fleet advanced, the Empire's forces began to react. Their defensive formation tightened, and long-range artillery ships moved into position. Everett knew this was the crucial moment. The Empire still had a significant numerical advantage, and a direct confrontation would be brutal. Admiral, incoming transmission from the Warhammer 40,000 fans, Barrett announced. Everett raised an eyebrow. Patch them through. A gruff voice filled the bridge. Admiral, this is Captain Reynolds. The Emperor's Space Marines stand ready to purge the Xenos. Give us the word, and we'll engage at close quarters. Everett felt a thrill of excitement. The Warhammer 40,000 fans were known for their fervor and tactical prowess. Captain Reynolds, you're cleared to engage. Coordinate with our main fleet and target their frontline ships. Let's give them a taste of their own medicine. As the Warhammer fleet surged forward, the battle erupted into chaos. Ships clashed at close quarters, plasma cannons and energy shields flaring with intense light. The Empire's forces were taken aback by the ferocity and unconventional tactics of the fan fleets. Admiral, our drones are engaging their warp-capable ships, Barrett reported. The Empire's third battle line is crumbling. Everett allowed himself a grim smile. Excellent. Keep the pressure on. We need to break their formation completely. In the midst of the battle, Everett's flagship maneuvered closer to the moon-sized command ship. The massive vessel loomed ahead, its dark surface dotted with weapon emplacements. Focus all fire on their command ship, Everett ordered. We need to disable it. As the flagship's weapons roared to life, Everett monitored the battle's progress. The Empire's ships were falling back in disarray, their retreat turning into a rout. But the command ship remained a formidable challenge, its shields absorbing tremendous amounts of firepower. Admiral, we've detected a critical weakness in their shields, Barrett said, his voice urgent. If we concentrate our fire on the port side, we can breach their defenses. Do it, Everett commanded. All ships, target the port side of the command ship. We need to bring it down. The coordinated assault was devastating. The command ship's shields flickered and failed, exposing its vulnerable hull. Terran ships unleashed a barrage of fire, tearing through the vessel's armor. Explosions rippled across its surface as vital systems failed. Admiral, the command ship is disabled, Barrett reported. Everett's eyes gleamed with determination. Good. Now let's finish this. Signal all ships to mop up the remaining forces. We're not stopping until the Empire is driven from our space. The battle raged on, but the outcome was clear. The Terran Union, with the help of its passionate civilian allies, had turned the tide. The Empire's forces were in full retreat, their once mighty armada shattered and demoralized. As the last of the Empire's ships vanished into the wormhole, Everett allowed himself a moment of relief. The battle was won, but the war was far from over. The Terran Union had proven its resilience, but the threat of the Eternal Empire still loomed. "Admiral, incoming transmission from Earth," Barrett announced. Everett agreed. "Put it through." The voice of President Catherine Morgan filled the bridge. "Admiral Everett, you and your fleet have done an incredible job. The entire Union owes you a debt of gratitude. But we must remain vigilant. The Empire will be back, and we need to be ready." Everett stood tall, his resolve unwavering. "We'll be ready, Madam President. Humanity will never back down." As the transmission ended, Everett looked out at the vast expanse of space. The battle was over, but the fight for humanity's future was just beginning. The quiet of the aftermath was shattered by an urgent message from the reconnaissance drones. "Admiral, we've detected a massive buildup of enemy forces at the fringes of our territory," Barrett reported, his voice tense. Admiral James Everett knew that the battle they had just won was merely the beginning. The Eternal Empire would not rest until they had crushed the Terran Union. The intelligence reports indicated that the Empire was regrouping for a major counteroffensive. "We need to strike before they're ready," Everett said, pacing the bridge. "If we let them gather their full strength, we'll be overwhelmed." Lieutenant Barrett agreed. "Our scouts have pinpointed their staging area. It's heavily fortified, but a swift, decisive strike could catch them off guard." Everett turned to his tactical officers. "Prepare the fleet for immediate departure. We'll hit them with everything we've got." As the fleet jumped into hyperspace, Everett reviewed the battle plan. They would divide their forces, attacking from multiple vectors to confuse and overwhelm the enemy. The fan fleets, with their unique ships and tactics, would play a crucial role in this daring assault. "Admiral, all ships are ready," Barrett reported. "Engage," Everett commanded. The transition out of hyperspace was smooth, and the Terran fleet emerged near the Empire's staging area. The sight that greeted them was imposing, a vast array of ships, orbital defenses, and planet-based weaponry. "Commence attack," Everett ordered. "Fan fleets, follow your designated targets. Main fleet, engage their defensive platforms." The battle began with a thunderous exchange of fire. The Terran fleet's precision and coordination quickly became apparent as they targeted key enemy positions. The fan fleets, with their unconventional ships and tactics, sowed chaos among the Empire's ranks. "Admiral, the Warhammer fleet is engaging their capital ships," Barrett reported. Everett watched as the Warhammer 40,000 fans' massive, heavily armored ships clashed with the Empire's flagships. The brutal, close-quarters combat favored the Warhammer fleet, their vessels tearing through enemy lines with relentless fury. "Star Wars fleet, target their planetary defenses," Everett instructed. The sleek, agile ships of the Star Wars fan fleet darted through the battlefield, their precise strikes disabling key installations on the planet's surface. "Admiral, the Star Trek fleet is moving to flank the enemy," Barrett said, his voice filled with anticipation. Everett agreed. The Star Trek fleet's advanced technology and strategic maneuvers made them ideal for cutting off the enemy's escape routes. As they encircled the Empire's forces, the pressure on the enemy intensified. The Empire's response was swift and fierce. Their ships fought back with desperation, launching wave after wave of counterattacks. The Terran fleet's cohesion and discipline were put to the test, but Everett's strategic brilliance kept them one step ahead. "Focus fire on their command ships," Everett ordered. "We need to disrupt their chain of command." As the Terran ships concentrated their firepower, the Empire's command ships began to falter. Explosions rippled across their hulls, and the coordination of the enemy forces started to break down. "Admiral, we're picking up a distress signal from the enemy flagship," Barrett reported. "They're requesting a ceasefire." Everett's eyes narrowed. "Patch it through." The image of the Empire's commander appeared on the screen, his expression a mix of anger and desperation. Admiral Everett, this is Vice Admiral Kale of the Eternal Empire. We request a ceasefire to negotiate terms. Everett's gaze was steely. Vice Admiral Kale, your forces have violated our space and threatened our people. What terms do you propose? Kale's voice trembled slightly. We recognize the strength and resilience of the Terran Union. We propose a temporary truce to discuss a possible peace agreement. Everett considered the proposal. A truce could buy them valuable time to regroup and strengthen their defenses. But he also knew the Empire was not to be trusted. Very well, Vice Admiral Kale, Everett said finally. We will agree to a temporary ceasefire. But know this, any further aggression from your forces will be met with overwhelming force. Kale agreed, relief evident on his face. Understood, Admiral. We will withdraw our forces and await further instructions. As the transmission ended, Everett turned to his officers. Maintain combat readiness. This ceasefire could be a ruse. We need to stay vigilant. Barrett agreed. Understood, sir. All ships will remain on high alert. The tension on the bridge eased slightly, but Everett knew the battle was far from over. The Empire's retreat was a victory, but the threat they posed still loomed large. Admiral, what's our next move? Barrett asked. Everett's eyes hardened with resolve. We prepare for their next move. We fortify our defenses and continue to develop new strategies. The Empire will strike again, and when they do, we'll be ready. As the fleet regrouped and began preparations, Everett felt a deep sense of pride. The Terran Union had once again proven its resilience and strength. But the war was far from over, and the true test of their resolve was yet to come. The bridge of the flagship erupted in activity as alarms blared. Admiral Everett, the Empire has launched a full-scale invasion. They've breached our outer defenses, Barrett shouted over the din. The moment Everett had anticipated had arrived. The Eternal Empire, desperate and determined, had launched a massive offensive aimed at the heart of the Terran Union. The Union's outer defenses, despite their strength, were buckling under the sheer weight of the enemy's assault. Mobilize all available forces, Everett commanded. This is it. We hold them here or we fall. The Terran fleet, bolstered by the fan communities and their unique ships, prepared for the final stand. The atmosphere on the bridge was tense but resolute. Everyone knew what was at stake. Admiral, the Warhammer fleet is engaging the enemy's vanguard, Barrett reported. They're holding the line, but the enemy is throwing everything they have at us. Everett's mind raced. Signal the Star Wars and Star Trek fleets to flank the enemy. We need to disrupt their formations. As the battle raged, the Terran fleet's coordination and adaptability proved crucial. The fan fleets, with their diverse tactics and ship designs, created confusion and chaos among the Empire's ranks. Admiral, we've identified the enemy flagship, Barrett said. It's heavily defended, but if we can take it out, we could break their morale. Everett agreed. Prepare a strike team. We're going in. The flagship, the heart of the Empire's invasion force, was a fortress. But Everett knew that a decisive blow here could turn the tide. He personally led the strike team, boarding a small, heavily armed shuttle. Stay focused, Everett said to his team as they approached the enemy vessel. We take out their command center, and we give our fleet the opening they need. The boarding operation was intense. The shuttle dodged enemy fire, weaving through the battlefield until it docked with the flagship. Everett and his team stormed the ship, their path lit by the flashes of energy weapons. Admiral, we've breached the command deck, Barrett reported, his voice steady despite the chaos. Hold your positions, Everett ordered. We're almost there. The command deck was a scene of chaos. Empire officers scrambled to respond to the Terran incursion, but Everett's team moved with precision and determination. They fought their way to the heart of the ship, where Vice Admiral Kale awaited. Everett, Kale spat, his eyes burning with hatred. You'll pay for this. Everett's gaze was cold. Surrender, Kale. This is over. Kale drew his weapon, but Everett was faster. A single, precise shot ended the standoff. With their leader defeated, the Empire's forces began to falter. "Admiral, the enemy fleet is retreating," Barrett reported, his voice filled with relief. "We've done it." Everett felt a wave of exhaustion and triumph. "Secure the flagship. Ensure all enemy combatants are disarmed." As the Terran fleet mopped up the remnants of the Empire's invasion force, Everett took a moment to reflect. The victory had come at a great cost, but the Terran Union had stood firm. "Admiral, incoming transmission from Earth," Barrett announced. Everett agreed. "Put it through." President Catherine Morgan's face appeared on the screen, her expression one of profound relief. "Admiral Everett, the entire Union owes you and your team an immense debt of gratitude. Your bravery and leadership have saved us all." Everett bowed his head slightly. "Thank you, Madam President. But this victory belongs to everyone who fought and sacrificed. The Union stands strong because of our unity and resolve." As the transmission ended, Everett turned to his crew. "We've won this battle, but we must remain vigilant. The Empire will not give up easily. But today, we've shown them the strength of the Terran Union." The bridge erupted in cheers, a collective release of tension and fear. Everett allowed himself a rare smile. The fight was far from over, but today, they had proven that humanity would not be conquered. As the fleet began to regroup and prepare for the next phase, Everett felt a deep sense of pride and hope. The Terran Union had faced its greatest threat and emerged victorious. And as long as they stood together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. The Terran Union's victory over the Eternal Empire was a testament to human resilience, ingenuity, and unity. The battle had been hard-fought, with sacrifices made by countless brave souls. But in the end, humanity had proven its strength and resolve. Admiral James Everett, now hailed as a hero, knew that the fight for freedom and survival was never truly over. The Eternal Empire remained a threat, but the Terran Union was more prepared than ever. The unconventional alliance with fan communities, whose passion and creativity had turned the tide of battle, had shown that unity and diversity were humanity's greatest strengths. Together, they had faced the darkness and emerged victorious. As the Terran Union celebrated its hard-won peace, the people looked to the stars with hope and determination. They knew that challenges would continue to come, but they also knew that, united, they could overcome any adversity. And so, the Terran Union stood ready to defend its freedom and future, always vigilant, always strong, and forever united.